Rubin's comment. You wrote a book called Woke Inc. You think it's bad for corporate America. He says it's actually good business and people are looking ahead to their customers of the future. Quick comment from you.
My view is that businesses have a purpose. It is to provide products and services to customers who actually need them, and yes, to make a profit unapologetically. And when those businesses wade into social disputes, not only is that often bad for business, just look at what happened to Bud Light, look at what's happening to Target, but more importantly, it's bad for our civic culture in our country, because what we need is apolitical spaces that bring people together, whether they're black or white, or Democrat or Republican. The private sector, the sports stadiums of this country, the labs of this country, that's where Americans unite regardless of their partisan or identitarian affiliations. And so I think woke capitalism is bad for capitalism, but it's also bad for American democracy. Okay. That's why I've been leading the crusade against it for the last several years, and that's what I'm taking all the way to the White House.
What's going on, everyone? It's Dr. Kenny here today, and we'll be reacting to Anheuser-Busch releases a statement responding to the Bud Light backlash. And as you guys know, I had took a couple of days off. Sorry about not uploading any videos on Friday, but you know, I was getting acclimated with my new one. But hey, that's enough about me. Let's get back into the video. Anheuser-Busch releases "We Hear You" statement over Bud Light backlash. Beers for everyone. And I kind of wanted to talk about how woke capitalism is not good for business, right? And this is going to kind of be the theme of this video, piggybacking off of Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light as an example. Anheuser-Busch released a statement on Friday in response to the backlash that the company triggered earlier this year when one of its brands, Bud Light, decided to partner with a controversial transgender activist for paid marketing engagement. And as you guys know, Bud Light lost its #1 spot. Sales from Bud Light has fallen more than 25%, and its competitors have since seen a large increase in their sales. We recognize that over the last 2 months, the discussion surrounding our company and Bud Light has moved away from beer, and this has impacted our consumers, our business partners, and our employees. The statement began, "We are a beer company, and beer is for everyone." He said that the company was announcing 3 important actions as they continue to move their business forward in light of the backlash. First, we're investing to protect the jobs of our frontline employees, he said. Second, we're providing financial assistance to our independent wholesalers to help them support their employees. Whitworth said in his final point, which was to address the company's valued customers, that the company hears you, right? And that's still not an apology, right? But that's the point. They don't want to apologize for their agenda, right? I guess. And if they do apologize, it's because they got caught. And recently, I've been reading a book called The Puppeteer. I think I recommended it in my last stream that I did. Sorry if I'm a little bit rusty. You know, I'm getting back from bonding with my son. So here is Stakeholder Capitalism. This is something I wanted to kind of point out. Stakeholder Capitalism is a book written by Carl Schwab. If you know who this guy is, he's I guess he's the chairman of the World Economic Forum, right? And stakeholder capitalism is the idea that businesses have a responsibility that extend beyond their shareholders, right? Which is these people think that capitalism should operate beyond getting profit, right? And this is what the shareholders are, like people who invest in your company. Your job is to make sure they get a return on that investment. And stakeholder capitalism spits in the face of that. They say, no. Your only job is not just to get profits. It's to affect wider change. It's the urge, aka forced behavior. Larry Fink.
For you. Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
Right. These are where these ideas come from, and the reason why I'm bringing up stakeholder capitalism is the fact that State Street, BlackRock, and I forget the third company, but there's only a handful of companies. They have 5%, I think, stake in almost 95% of companies in the S&P 500. 95%. That's a lot of influence that a few handful of companies have. Isn't that an antitrust? Shouldn't these people be liable for antitrust? Because these 5 companies believe in ESG, right? And the fact that they have 5% stake in 95% of companies shows that they can influence corporations, especially multinational corporations, to go woke. And this is what I believe is leading all these companies into doing this, because apparently there's been rumors about BlackRock and how if you get on their bad side, they can go in and take over essentially the boardroom, right? And it pretty much BlackRock's strategy is to force behavior, right? Like Larry Fink admitted it. Like, I'm not saying anything I'm not speculating here. This is what he said. He said, hey, sometimes you have to force behavior. And this is socialism. I don't care what you're saying. This is socialism. Stakeholder capitalism is socialism, right? And I don't expect these asset managers to respect their share, because they have a fiduciary duty to advise companies so they can drive a profit for people like me who have our 401k in a BlackRock, managed by BlackRock, right? And proxy voting is a thing that it's kind of for me getting into the weeds of it, but essentially this is what it is. You're using, and capitalism is apolitical, right? If you have the means, the wealth, and the money, you can force capitalism to do what you want, right? Just like strength. If a good person is strong, he'll use his strength for good. If a bad person is strong, he'll use his strength for bad. It's the same thing with capitalism. So, but hey, I digress. I think I've been rambling a little bit too much. But here, Bud Light is launching a new effort to regain market share, which is what was pointed out earlier in the video. That statement stopped short of an apology that conservatives want. So this article from Axios wants to claim that conservatives are boycotting this, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think conservatives are the only one boycotting against this, but this is just them trying to, this is just tribal. There's only one side doing this, right? So they talk about how toxic everything's been, right? The big picture, right? The Bud Light debacle perfectly captures the cultural, political, and social toxicity of America in 2023. But you realize how there's never social toxicity when the left are driving boycotts, right? When LGBT groups are driving boycotts against companies. It's never toxic, right? As long as we let one side do whatever the hell they want, and your conservatives, you don't push back, it's not toxic. But the minute you meet fire with fire, look at toxic America has become. But you ain't saying nothing about the abuse the left was hitting everyone on the right side of the head with. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand this like two way of seeing things. But hey, they lean left. Their bias is left leaning anyway. So they see everything they do as good, and everything conservatives stand for as bad or misunderstood is the best case I can say. So Anheuser-Busch is writing checks to distributors. Sorry, I can't say that word. As Bud Light sales sink, right? And this is just an overview, guys. Like, Bud Light parent company has laid out a plan to appease beer distributors affected by the 2 months of plunging sales sparked by ongoing customer boycotts. You guys get it. They lost the number one spot now, right? Modelo. I think froze. Okay. As you know, Bud Light lost their number one spot as the best-selling beer in America to Modelo, and no, they're not owned by the same company, allegedly by VerifiedThis.com. Bud Light parent company has given up ownership of the Modelo brand in the U.S. due to a federal statement. Now, after 2 decades as the American's best-selling beer, Bud Light has fallen to second place. Modelo Especial overtook Bud Light in U.S. retail dollar sales in the month ending in June 3rd. According to Nelson data analyzed by Pump Williams Consulting, right? So essentially, if you support Modelo, you're not supporting Anheuser-Busch. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying Busch, but this all goes. I'm trying to tie this all back to the stakeholder capitalism point that I was trying to make. Is that George Soros' son is going to take over his multi-billion-dollar empire, right? And he's a left-wing mega donor, as if you don't know who George Soros is. George Soros is a financer. He controls $25 billion Alexander Soros is taking control of the financer's $25 billion empire. Soros is 92 years old. This man is 92 years old. He's like, I no longer have the energy for this, young buck. But apparently he didn't want to hand down his business to his kids. But something changed his mind, right? The foundation reportedly directs approximately $1.5 billion annually to other organizations, universities, and political action committees, right? And this is how the left, this is stakeholder capitalism, guys, whether we agree with it or not. This is how the left is deploying money and funds to push their values, to push what they want. You wonder why all these universities go woke? Why is there so much outreach and grassroots movement and organizations throughout the country for the left? This is why. They're being funded by billionaires, right? These people, social change, we're going against the billionaires. No, this is why I think when the left push, like AOC and them, they push, tax the rich. I'm like, you ain't gonna tax them. You're gonna leave loopholes for them, right? Rules for thee, but not for me. That's what the kind of society that the left wants. George Soros himself has become known for financing political action groups dedicated to electing reformed-minded district attorneys and law enforcement officials. And you see how that got a lot of blue cities, right? So then I think San Francisco just recalled one of his attorneys, right? Like, you putting all this money over behind a bad product. It's crazy to me. This is why I said politics need to be about solutions, bro. We should make him see this as throwing money into a fire, right? George Soros previously said that he would not allow one of his 5 kids to take over the organization, but Soros reportedly changed his mind after confirming his son Alex will command the group, which has funded several leftist activist groups around the world, as well as educational organizations. He earned it, Soros said. We think alike, and I think that's all you need to know. 37-year-old son. He didn't want. It seemed like to me, this is how I'm taking it. George Soros didn't want to give any of his kids the empire if they didn't see the world the same way he did, and I think that's the main reason why he's not going to hand down his organization to a conservative son and he use it for conservative. No, George Soros ain't gonna allow that. He's like, no, I got to make sure my kids share the same values as me. He found one. He said, okay, here's a company, and apparently he's going to be more political than his father. But I say all this to say that I don't think none of this is going to work, honestly. I think this stuff, it comes across preachy, pushy, right? Eventually, people have a line. Like, conservatives are like, hey, yeah, you could, okay, gay marriage, fine. Have that over there, right? But don't bring that ish to me. But obviously, you give an inch, they take a mile. So they come here and now they're like, hey, conservatives go, hey, what are you doing? You passing a boundary here. Now we're gonna push back. Now, it's toxic. According to Axios, it's toxic. It's toxic that conservatives are pushing back now, because when we pleaded, talked to you nicely, we say, hey, gay marriage only, okay, between consenting adults, okay, don't go for the kids. Oh no, we have to teach your kids how to be tolerant. No, I'll teach them when I'm ready. No, we got to teach them now. And this has led to American support for same-sex relationships to drop 7 points since last year. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, if you're an LGBT activist, this should be a bad thing. Hey, what did we do from last year compared to today that pushed Americans to lose support for our issues? Because at the end of the day, majority of people are straight. I'm sorry to tell you, LGBT people. I don't know who, someone needs to hear this. Sometimes I think liberals don't live in reality. They think everything's abstract, but your messaging is wrong here. I think y'all crossed the line. I think y'all went too far. And a part of me thinks LGBT people just want attention. Like, nowadays when people say, oh, I'm gay, people go, okay. I had a coworker say, oh, I'm gay, and I didn't know he was gay. I was like, oh, that's nice. And I kept going. Like, it wasn't something like I was like, oh my, like it's not like some great accomplishment. Okay, you sleep with men. Okay, that's cool. That's nice. And I think that kind of, I don't know. It's like that kid that's so used to attention for doing certain things, and then eventually people just got tired of seeing the thing. And this is what the LGBT movement has turned into at this point. I think it's just an attention-seeking movement at this point, right? So let's read into the article, which has conducted by Gallup between May 1st and May 24th, measures Americans' moral beliefs on a number of different topics, including divorce, the death penalty, abortion, and same-sex relationships. Last year, a record high 71% of U.S. adults said gay or lesbian relations are morally acceptable. The figures has fallen back this year to 64%, returning to levels last seen in 2019. Gallup's note in an article explaining the polls. Gallup attributes the sharp decline primarily to Republicans. While 56% of Republicans said the same-sex relationship was acceptable last year, the figure was plummeted to 41%. The vast majority of Democrats, 79%, said the same-sex relationships are morally acceptable, while 73% of independents agree. The current figure is the lowest Gallup has measured for Republicans since 2014, when it was 39%. And this is why a lot of people say the future is conservative, because we're just having more kids. And at a certain point, given enough time frame, conservative parents will be raising majority of the kids. And if conservative parents say, hey, this stuff is unacceptable because they're too pushy, they don't respect my values, right? It's a two-way street, right? Tolerance isn't submission. Being tolerant doesn't mean I have to agree with everything you're doing. Tolerant means I just have to accept that you're allowed to do what you're doing as long as you don't infringe it on me, right? And then this is what people call homophobic. It's crazy to me. Right, and this is a problem with me and liberals. Okay, liberals will use slander for simply not agreeing with them in their conclusions. Oh, black people don't need help. Black people need affirmative action. I say they don't. You want to call me a racist? I say, hey, women don't need special handouts. Women don't need DEI. Oh, you're saying I'm a sexist. I'm against women, right? You left-wing people are used to slandering people because in their idea, they have some idea of, oh, I have credibility because I'm a liberal. Oh, I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I'm doing this. To me, I rather have respect than compassion, because compassion is predicated on whether you like me or not. If you don't, can you have compassion for someone you don't like? In my view, no. You're not going to have compassion. You ain't going to treat someone the same way if you like them. You ain't going to have the same level of compassion if you like them versus if you dislike them. But respect, you give the same level of respect regardless if you like somebody or not. Right? And there's a certain boundary. Like, respect isn't I bend over backwards for you and do everything and accommodating you. No, respect is a two-way street. I accommodate you, you accommodate me. The minute you don't accommodate me, I won't accommodate you. And then these people are getting surprised why Muslim parents are pushing back in against the LGBT stuff, because they're not having it. And I don't care how liberals see it. I don't care how liberals say, oh, look at the reason why the percentages went down is because of the plummeting support from Republicans. Of course, because you're not respecting our values. Liberals talk about neutrality. Liberals talk about liberty. But there's no liberty or neutrality here. You're pushing a worldview, right? By omitting it. Oh, it's not acceptable to be religious in public life, but it's acceptable to be LGBT. In the White House, you guys got flags posted up on the White House. What if Christians had their flag posted up or their symbols on the White House? Liberals, y'all will be having a riot. LGBTQ people will be having a riot. Right. And but if a town votes, hey, we want to be neutral. Hey, on government property, there should be no signs of LGBTQ flags or anything of that. The same way they treat religion, all of a sudden, people want to the LGBT group want to get mad. The transgender group want to get mad. Right. Because they're so used to being worshipped. Now equality feels like oppression. And that's just my view. That's just my take. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. But hey, I digress. Let me know what your thoughts are about the comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys for checking out the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.